Hello, my name is Daria Allen, and my topic is the state of LGBTQ youth mental health. So, throughout this video, it's kind of just a rundown of what I'll be talking about throughout the whole final project of this, and just basically the sources that I'll be citing, the different topics that I'm going to discuss, and kind of just a background study throughout the whole thing. So, like I said, the topic is about the state of LGBTQ youth mental health. And I chose this topic, like I said prior to. It's a very strong topic that isn't really talked about. I have experience with it myself. I dealt with different challenges, and I feel like this topic right here is something that I'm very passionate about, but also that I'm very educated on enough for me to talk about it. So through this whole project, I have it set up basically where when I started, I'll be talking throughout like the intro, which is the background to the LGBTQ community, what it is, and mental health and what that is, and how those two combined together affect our youth as a whole. And then after that, I'll lead into the body of it, which is kind of like more info, which is how the mental health is affected, different ways to solve the mental health, what age it typically starts at, and like basically like things that people do to resolve these issues that they're facing. So for example, therapy or listening to music, going on walks, whatever people decide to do for them to cope. Like my personal experience, I didn't go to therapy or anything or talk to anybody. I kind of just dealt with the issues and listened to music about it, or else I would write in my journal to myself, but I never really took the time to talk to someone. And honestly, after taking psychology, I learned that talking to people is more healthy than it seems. But the reason why I never did is just because that's not who I am. I'm more of a closed out person who doesn't really like to talk much about my issues, but I'm willing to listen to other people about theirs. So I feel like doing that, it did cause a lot of more issues than what it could have, because people wasn't hearing me and the emotions I was facing were just adding up instead of actually being faced, talked about, and figured out. So it definitely took a stronger toll on my mental health. But throughout like I said, the intro is basically mental health and all the different levels to it, and the LGBTQ community and all the different forms of it. So there's many different ways. You have like the LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and there's a plus symbol for more sexuality is a part of that. So the main ones are talked about. There is a few more that people choose that's what they want to be, but that's not really like common. I guess you could say it's more so just another part of it. So there's like pansexual, asexual, and etc., which I'll get into more in the intro of the next video. My speech content, it's really a message, like for people who cry out for help but don't really talk about it. So more so like to know like there are people who face the same issues as you. There are people who are facing different issues that aren't really talked about. The symbols that usually show when somebody is asking like or is having a cry for help. Symbols of someone who may be going through something but isn't really talked about and is closed off like I am. There's many different ways. And the reason why I feel like this is a message is because there are a lot of, like I would say, parents out there whose children are deciding who they want to be and who they want to become, and they may want to be a part of the LGBTQ community, but they've heard their family talk about it in maybe such a way that isn't positive or some type of good reinforcement for them, so they feel like, okay, I have to hide who I am and I can't embrace that, which causes a lot of mental health issues as well. So I feel like me talking about this and bringing it to a problem, it can help people who may not realize what someone may be going through, or realize that their child may be this type of sexuality, or their child may be disclosed and discomfort because they don't know who to come to about these issues. I know people say like, oh, you have your school counselors and all that. Well, your school counselors, your school therapists, etc. But it's really not as easy as it seems to be. Like, you can go to a school counselor, of course, and talk to them, but they can only tell you so much and they can only do so much with you, to maybe to the point where you might need an actual therapist. And as someone who I did talk to my school counselor before, and she helped me a little bit, but she wasn't too educated on the community for her to give me like advice and stuff like that. So I ended up getting active into like the social groups of school and talking to people who were more into the community with it, or people who may have experienced more than what I have so far. So, like I said, the speech content is a message basically for those crying out for help, who maybe need a little bit more background information on the LGBTQ community, who maybe just are interested in learning about it and just want to expand their vocabulary, or there's so many different things on that what this message can speak about. And also I do want to speak deeply on how dangerous mental health is for the youth that are a part of the LGBTQ community, because it's one thing to have mental health issues, but to face mental health issues and also deal with the social norms of like reality and stuff, it really takes a toll on people. And that is like really what the mental health and learning about that is all about, because you have to learn how to understand not just one portion of it, but every portion of it. And then you have to learn how to understand that not every LGBTQ plus person deals with the same type of mental health issues. Some of them deal with suicidal issues, some of them deal with depression issues, anxiety. So there's many different levels that that person may deal with based on maybe even just their sexuality. So it could be different. And it's important to really get this out there and to create a message that speaks as strongly on that, especially with someone from information, because usually when we learn about things, it's not with, how can I say this? It's not with someone who usually deals with the situation or goes through a situation themselves. It's usually with someone who has done some research and just talks about what they want to talk about or what they're comfortable with talking about. It's not really what they physically have been through or emotionally have been through or mentally have been through. It's what they think about or what they learn about, I'm sorry. So it's definitely something that I want to speak about and make a nice message about it. And I know that even though this is for like a project, not only am I learning more, but I'm also coming out of my comfort and embracing myself more as well, which was one of my goals to do while also doing this video, is to come out of my comfort zone and, you know, speak on a YouTube video as such and spread a message like this. So it's definitely different for me, and it's something that I have to get used to, but I'm very excited. And the sources that I have are from 3 different websites. I don't have the full author's name right now, but there's 3 different websites. One's about just the mental health. One is about the like basically like the therapies that you can do and things like that, or ways to cope, I should say, ways to cope with the mental health. And another one is just about the youth of LGBTQ and what age has this ratio and what people usually expose themselves as, and, you know, things like that. So it's definitely it was hard to find websites that really relate around this topic, because of how I said before, it is not only it's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, but it's also a topic where you have to be really careful with how you word things and how you say things, because it can cause a lot of different intellectual problems, and we don't want that, nor do we need that. So it's definitely something that you have to like be cognitive of. So definitely want to embrace that and be careful on that behalf. And with this topic overall, it's a very good topic to learn about, and it's definitely going to be something that everyone can take from. Even if you aren't a part of the LGBTQ community or you're not into mental health, you can definitely take something from this and, you know, move forward with it. So I want to, you know, cover the message proportion of it. I want to cover all the topics that I've talked about today, and just really get this ready for, you know, good, how can I say this? Get this ready for a good audience, basically. And that kind of sums up everything that I'll be talking about in the video. It's just going to be simple, just kind of straightforward, Not going to beat around the bush of anything. Just going to jump right into it. Once again, talk about the background, the ways its mental health occurs, and the different issues you may face, and just get into it head on. So, yeah.